As a board member or manager, you have the responsibility to lead the association safely and successfully into the future. The challenge is to keep the upper hand in your battle with deterioration, which never takes a day off. What's at stake is not just the size of your monthly budget, but the safety, well-being, and property values of every member of your community. So you want to get it right. Fortunately, there's help available to you, and there are guiding landmarks along the way. In this portion of our Reserve Studies 102 webinar, we take a look at the financial analysis performed after your reserve components are all set. This is where we calculate your reserve fund strength and how much you need to set aside to reserves on an ongoing basis. Follow along, because you'll want to learn how your reserve fund's size is measured and how your reserve funding is affected by the components appearing in your reserve study. By the end of today's program, you'll leave knowing how to tell if you should feel good or bad, or actually somewhere in between, about your reserve fund size and how that starting point influences your reserve funding, and why physically similar associations may have very different reserve funding recommendations. Now, this is the outline we'll be using today, starting with an overview. Then Mark will walk you through understanding your reserve fund strength and those funding plan issues I mentioned just a moment ago. And it starts out with appreciating that we're all on a journey to the future. It's going to be full of twists and turns and bumps and obstacles and things like that. But by planning ahead, we're going to eliminate the majority of the surprises that can get in the way so you can arrive to the future successfully. Every association has a set of expenses in its future, reserve expenses specifically, like you see on the chart here. Although they may look kind of random and scattered here, they are predictable. The roof will fail. The paint will dry and chip and peel. The asphalt will crack and get potholes. Elevators will start to break down more frequently. We know these things, and we can predict pretty closely how much they'll cost and when they'll occur. And that gives us this type of expense chart. Now we cover identifying all these expenses in the Reserve Studies 101 webinar that Colleen mentioned moments ago. And that webinar is available for rewatching on our website and on YouTube if you want to catch up and see that program and catch up with the content that we're going to be sharing today. Now, these are the questions we're going to answer for you in today's program. These three things: where are we now? Are reserves weak, fair, or strong? How does our starting point affect what we need to do? And how can there be so many options going forward? So settle in, adjust your volume, and we're going to take you on a journey here. And this is an important journey and an important discussion because you need to understand that deterioration is ongoing and inevitable. There's nothing you can do about it. Deterioration never takes a day off. It's a formidable opponent, and it's expensive. If your association is not actively fighting this ongoing battle, and if you're ignoring the reality and the cost of the damage that you're taking on little by little, every day, week, month, and year, you're losing. But no worries, they were going to arm you with the tools for success. Our starting point assumes that you do have a reserve component list with components wisely and appropriately selected according to National Reserve Study standards. And that's because all your financial decisions, all the decisions we're going to cover today, rely on knowing the expenses, the projects ahead of you in your journey to the future. And this is what a typical reserve component list looks like. It's a little bit simplified from what you might see for your association, but it's what we're going to be using for today's program. And it's from this list that will show you how we calculate the answers to those three questions. How much cash your association should have based on the current condition of the components in your component list, how that starting point affects the options that you have moving forward, and how there can be so many funding plan options for your association. At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you want to join us in this mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us address in a future video. Let's plan for your best future.